My name is Margaret Ward, Margaret, capital WARD. I'm from Mi'kmaq Nation. Basically, it's everybody's story that were in the residential school. Like, I want to mention my mother and, and the other students. And yeah, myself, I was there too. I think it's important because people like other people from outside communities, even some families, they don't know. It's for people that don't know what happened in these schools. I have an example that the school that I attended was in Nova Scotia, and it was called Shuby. And just a road, just like a road down the hill to get to the highway, there were people living there too. And when this issue started coming out in 1994, some people had told us that those people, and I forget their last names, but they were sort of like the caretakers coming up to the school. They were non-natives going up to the school, and they would clean or do their job, and they're gone home again. So when they heard about what was going on in that school, they were appalled. Like, they said that school has been there like maybe 30 or 40 years, and we never knew anything. Like, for people that close by to the school, you just run up the hill, and they weren't aware of anything that went on there. So if they didn't know, how many people across Canada don't know either? And I just hope that we can get that message out to everyone and make sure that it doesn't, happen again. A little bit of everything, I guess. It's gonna, it's survival. There's still, we're still here, I'm still here. Other people have passed on. And oh yeah, right here. It's not necessarily death, but I sort of, that's in there too for the schools, from what I have read in other books or hear from other survivors that were, we all shared stories. Missing children, yes, that's fairly out there now. And unmarked burial, and that's for sure out west. It's bad in that area, I guess. There was about 10,000 kids that were missing, and there was no burials. There was no marked burials. This story that I'm recording, it was, my mother went there in 1935, and she stayed there for the whole 16, 17 years. And I was there in 1963 and 64. The residential school is in, it's called Shubenacadie Residential School, and it's located in Nova Scotia. Yeah, when you tell your story, you have to sort of think about maybe what other students did to you, and what happened to you, what causes you to be sometimes scared, fearful because of what happened. It involves some students, but I'm not comfortable in maybe saying their names. And Yes, there was one student that was involved in towards me with abuse, mostly bullying. She was really nasty. Um, and I don't know if she did that to other students, but she was known as a bully. And I was 10 years old, 11 years old, and um, every time we went out for like a recess, or if we went to playing, outside, she would come over to me and she would say, "Oh my God, why, you're so ugly. Why are you so ugly?" And an 11-year-old that I had never been asked that question, I didn't know what to say because I was scared. I was really scared. And she made me nervous, and she would pull my ears, she would pull my hair, pinch my cheeks, like really hard, eh? And it just brought a lot of fear with everybody else after. When I went to another school, I was always scared that there's going to be another one that's like that. She was really not a very good person, you know. I didn't know anything about anything like that because I was in a very protective environment at home. Yeah. So when I went to this school and then I came across this certain student, a girl, and it's sort of just, I still think about it and I still dream about her, even though she passed on. It's still sort of, sometimes it's still there. Yeah. Some other students were involved, and they would, some of them would tell her, "No, don't do that, don't say that, don't," and they were some nice girls there, I got along with them, and she got along with me, and there were other students similar to her, the one that's abusive, and but not as bad as this one was, and I never want to mention her name or anything like that for fear that, even though she's passed on, her family, and it just it sort of left an imprint in there somewhere. Yeah. Yes, I attended a residential school, the Shubenacadie residential school, and I was there for 1963 and 64, and then I was sent home. Yeah. Yes, I only attended the one residential school. The one that I speak of is Shubenacadie. I'm here to share about when my mom was there, the stories that I have heard from her, and myself when I was there, and the stories that I heard from other kids, like students that were there, and that's what I'm here for. Because I feel even still today that we've been talking about residential schools since one lady took it upon herself to open up the whole issue of residential schools in 1993 and 1994, and I feel that we should have, the people out there should have more knowledge, more awareness, um, and encourage other survivors to be able to tell their stories. So anyways, I knew my mom, well, I didn't know then because I wasn't even here. My mom was a residential school survivor, and her two sisters, and they all stayed there the whole 10, 11, 12 years because their mother died when my mom was about 3 years old. And she always told me the story about that. And then her husband, her father, was not, he couldn't handle 3 little girls. And so there was a lady in PEI that sort of brought them up until she was about age 4, and then she couldn't do it anymore, so they decided, the agent must have decided that it's time for the girls to go to the residential school. And she was only about 5, I think, when she went. And she told me that one of her sisters was not old enough, the youngest one. So anyways, I think she was about 6 or 7 when they all connected, the 3 girls, but they didn't even know each other, you know. And she said that she didn't mind the school. It's just when it came to learning, she had a hard time with spelling, math, or all the other subjects that they took. She had a hard time with that. And the nuns were very angry with her when she would fail the test. She said every time I got my test back, it was a big, huge X on my paper. And she said I just felt so bad because I thought I was doing good, but apparently I wasn't. And then to punish her, they sent her down to the barn. There's a barn down about not even a mile from the residential school. There was a barn there. They kept cows in there and chickens and I don't know about horses. But her job was to clean the cows. And she had to do a perfect job and get a brush and brush them off and wash their, the breast areas and, or I don't know what you call it and what else you could call it. But anyways, that was her job, to clean the barn as a punishment. And she did that for so long that she sort of got comfortable in there. She didn't want to go up the hill to go to the, to a class. So they didn't care, if she was there or not. And she said, I just felt comfortable being with the cows, and she had a name for all of them, and she kept them clean. She kept the floors, swept and all that other stuff. And I sort of think today that she just, it was her escape from what she knew, like what she knew was going on at the school. So anyways, she left the school in she was 17, I say 17, I'm not sure if she said 18. But anyways, when she left the school, she went to another reserve where her sisters were, and they, at that time, the people in Eelground anyway, and Red Bank, I think, especially the New Brunswick reserves, they all went up to the Maine to pick blueberries. And that's where she met my father. She didn't know no English. She spoke Indian when she started. Like when she was 3 or 4, she was picking up her Mi'kmaq language. And and then she completely, when she came out of the school, she didn't know no Mi'kmaq at all. So anyway, she happened to meet my dad in Maine, and my father, he couldn't speak English. He only spoke Mi'kmaq. And so anyways, they became friends, and he taught her, and she taught him some English words, and that's how she sort of gained her language back, through my father. And so anyways, as years went by, I was born in 1951, and I was a twin, but she died at an early age. And so I went to Indian Day School when I was 6, and 7, 8, 9, and I think 10. They sent me to town school. And she took me there to town, and that was another drama to me. It was, I've never seen so many kids. Like the school in Miramichi was about 300 or 400 kids there, and it was really, really hard on me. So anyway, so when I turned 11, they decided to go back to Maine to pick berries, and this time they were going to take all of us. There was me and I think there was about 6 or 7 siblings by then, by the time I was 11. And they decided to go back to Maine, pick berries, and then when they got done picking berries, a friend of theirs there told them, well, let's go picking potatoes, potato fields, and work for a farmer, and was there for 6 weeks, I believe, according to my calculation. And then my mom decided she was going to bring us back, because like, I think there were 6 of us then, and it was too hard to try to manage whatever little money they made over there. So she brought us back home, and she told me, you can go back to school here in Harkins. And she didn't know that there was a process when you go back, you know, even when it's late. Like it wasn't, it was about 4 weeks into September. So anyways, I went back to school that one time, and I went in and I looked for my classmates, and the teacher that I thought was supposed to tell me where I'm supposed to go for grade 5, no, grade 6. And she said, you got to go to the principal and tell them that you're back, because right now there's no room. So anyways, I went down to the principal, and he said the same thing. He said, there's no room for you here now. I don't know what we can do. So I just left and went back home, and told my mom what they were saying, and she said, well, I'll have to make a few phone calls. So she went to see the chief, and to see maybe I could go to some kind of classes or something. But back in 1956 or 57, there was not too much of, you know, any other things for the kids. So anyways, one day she came home and she said, Margaret, I want you, I got you a new dress, and I got you a new a sweater, and I think it was shoes. And she said, you're going to go to school. I said, oh, wow, that's cool. You know, I was happy. And but she said, somebody's going to pick you up. I said, oh. so being 10 years old, 11, you don't think of the future, like, what's going to happen. So anyways, I was looking out the window upstairs in my room there, watching for a blue car to come down and pick me up. And when I went to, when the car came, it was the Indian agent. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't, I wasn't aware of all that stuff there, eh? And I got in the car, and there was 3 other kids that were in the same situation, I think. So there was 3 of them. And so we drove, and I don't even remember getting on the train. I just, middle of the day still, so I didn't think about anything. And I got on the train with them, and I remember sitting with them, and even it was a long train ride. Of course, it takes about 7 hours. I know that now. And anyways, we got off the train, we got on another car, and we drove up to this school. And when I seen the school, I didn't know. It was almost about 10, 11 o'clock at night. It was dark. And I told my friend, it's too dark, we can't go to school. She said, well, we have to go in, we gotta go in. And so anyway, they drove right up to the school, right to the front there. And all I could see was the huge doors. And I think there's about 3 nuns standing there, and I think it was a priest because I could see the cross. And I had never ever seen a nun ever before. Like, to me, they were like spooky. And I just kept staring. I told my friend, I said, who are these people? Why are they here? And she said, no, never mind, just come on, you gotta come with us and follow us in. And so I remember going up the steps, and I was really scared and not knowing what's, ahead. And went into the building, and I didn't understand what they were saying. Anyway, so we went in the school, and the nuns were walking around, and like I said, they were just seemed like, nowadays it would be like, I don't know, some costumes or something. I never seen them before. And she offered us a lunch, and I think it was just crackers and hot chocolate. And I remember almost puking when I drank the hot chocolate, because I don't know what was in there, but it was not, it almost made me sick, just to almost. And I swallowed it anyway, and because I was scared of the nuns, I didn't want to do anything right first time, unusual. Anyway, so they sent us, they said, you guys are going to go to bed now, and they took us up to, I don't know how many flights of stairs there was, 4 or 5 flights, I think. And I remember walking into the dormitory, and I seen a whole pink and blue beds, iron beds. And I just, I didn't know. I couldn't figure out why we were here. Why am I going to bed here? So after a while, the friend that I was asking all these questions to, from the time we got there, she sort of stayed away from me for a while, because I was too, I don't know if I was too scared, and I was leaning on her to give me answers. And I think when we got up in the morning, we went to church, Then we went down to the cafeteria and had uh, breakfast, and went to that first day. Yeah, right away I had to. One of the sisters came and she said, "Margaret, you have a job." I said, "Oh, a job?" She said, "Yeah, you're going to do the stairs." And I didn't know what to do. Like, I never did anything like that. Like, but so anyway, she just gave me 3 flights, I think, for the first couple of days, and I didn't know, like, what do you do? She gave me a rag, and so I just sort of just dusted them off and went back into the rec room, where the recreation room, where the other girls were, and from there that day we went to class again. Then I started looking for my friend, and I found her, and I said, "When are we going home? We've been here long enough." And oh, she said, "I'm gonna go ask," but she was just telling me that now. I know that today, that she was, she didn't. It was too hard on her for me to ask so many questions, I think, also, and she stayed away from me, and I didn't realize that it was Shubi that my mom had talked about to my father. I used to hear them talking in the kitchen when I was doing my homework, and she would tell me not me, but she would tell my father that what they did to her, and how they slapped her around, and called her names, and you're never going home again, and stuff like that. And I said, oh my God, I'm sitting there at the table there, just picking up here and there, eh? So when I'm in this school, in class, the nun got us to, she said, "You guys are going to write a letter to," and I'm in grade 5. She said, "You guys are going to write a letter home." So I was all happy about that, and so she said, "You have to spell Shubenacadie Residential School." And as I was spelling it, that's when I realized, when she kept saying, "Spell Shubi, spell Shubenacadie," and I was spelling it, and that's when I realized I was in Shubi. And I was thinking about it, not wanting to say anything, and started thinking, I think, at night, and I'm thinking, I'm laying there thinking, I said, this is Shubi, this is what they were talking about. So why would she send me here when she said it was so bad? Like, am I going to get the same, punishment? And so I just put it back in the back of my mind. As a kid, you just go with the flow after a while, eh? And it was an eye-opener, I know that, but I didn't realize all that stuff that was going on as part of that each day. I didn't realize that it was abuse then, because I'd never been abused like that before, and there was other little girls I've seen there that they must have been in grade 2 or 1, and somebody came running down from the dormitory and said one of the girls they peed the bed, and they were making noise, and they were jumping on the beds, and the nun had them come down. So anyways, I seen them, and I knew one of them was from my reserve, And I said, oh my God, what's going to happen? So anyways, it's in the recreation room, and then the showers, yeah, the showers led to on one side. And the nun opened the door, and they all went in there. There was about 6 of them, I think, 6 little girls. Like, they couldn't have been no more than, I don't know, 5. And anyways, I heard the straps. I heard the strapping. I heard her yelling at them. And it just, I couldn't, and I talked to one of the girls that were there, and she said, no, she's not strapping them. And so to this day, I still don't know if they got strapped or not on the butt. That's what they were telling me. But the girl told me, yeah, we got strapped, but it was so loud. Like, I just, you're just standing there listening. We're in the rec room, and you can hear everything that's going on in that shower area, There's sinks in there and everything. And I said, oh my God, I'm never going to do anything, As a child, you just, I don't know. You sort of try to find a place where you can hide, yeah, so you wouldn't have to be blamed for anything, yeah. I was the 63, 64. And the reason why, because 63 was in August, that was the blueberry picking time, and the September was the potato picking time until October. So when I went there, oh heck, I'm all mixed up. Yeah, I went there in 63 that fall, and then I came out in 64 in June. Yeah. It was they took my water. The girls were fighting amongst themselves a lot. The older girls, they would scream and fight, and they had these shelves, or whatever they were. There were shelves on top where the games were, like, it's just puzzles or whatever, right? Anyway, but in the side of the shelf, and in, like, against the wall, there was about that much room left in there, so I would go hiding there until it was quiet. Yeah. And that was my spot. I knew, just like Mom, she wanted to get away from all that up there, and even though she didn't get no education, they didn't care. But at least I did pass my grade 5, yeah, that year there. But it was with, the memories didn't really start coming out until after I started coming to meetings and stuff like that. You sort of try to put it away somewhere, eh, in your mind, yeah, and then you just go on with your life. And then when Nora started the compensation thing, suing the government, my mom was with my mom and my aunt joined her, and there was about 900 survivors there that came out, eh? Yeah. So when you start talking about that, then it's unreal. For me, it was unreal. I couldn't stop crying. Every movie they showed, it was, every student or every person that had to tell their story, I could relate it and I can see it. And there I go again, like, and I said, when am I ever going to get through this, you know. But you don't think about that. You just go, like I said, you go with the flow, you know. And sometimes you dread going to those meetings. You dread to hear the stories. You dread to see the movies or whatever films that they have. But for Mom and Sarah, I had to go, you know. And I'm glad I did today, you know. At least today I could sit here and I can talk. And sometimes it still, you know, touches me inside, but you get to, you know, move on. I don't really know anything, if anything was done. I know one kid broke her leg, but they did take her to the hospital and brought her back. But she was on the couch for the whole time. Like, you know, she couldn't walk. I think she broke her femur or something, eh? And that's all she was. She was on the couch the whole time. And sometimes she would ask me, Margaret, can you come over and get me some water? You know, or get me a crayon, or, you know. She was only way younger than me then. Yeah. And I don't believe anything was done, you know. For I often heard about when we used to go for walks. No matter how cold it was, we went, and I would walk with one of these girls there, and she would point out different spots. She said, "You see that lake there?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, there's 2 girls drowned in there. And I said, "Are they still in there?" She said, "Yeah, nobody took them out. Nobody took them out." And I just, you know, you keep picturing in your mind, why are they there? Why is not nobody doing anything? Even as a kid, and then even through the years, I always still think about that. Yeah, it was never done, and there was other stories too that it's so gruesome. It's so inhuman. To me, that's the way I would say now. How could anyone do something like that to a baby? I heard that there was girls there that had a baby, and one of the girls, she said, "I saw it, Mark. I saw it." She would tell her friends too, "I saw it. I know what they did." And I don't want to do this anymore. And you know, when I seen that movie, Indian Horse, exactly oh my God, the baby. No, I think that was it. But I just want to make sure that the people that take care of, sort of look over the survivors, to keep doing it. You know, you never know when there's somebody out there that might need help, even though they say, "No, I'm done." You know, there's so much pain. You know, the kids endured so much pain, and I did a survey in my community about 10 years ago now, and my job was to go out and talk to the survivors and ask them if they wanted to fill out the survey questions. We had it was almost like a book. I wasn't happy with it anyway, but I went, and first you have to get them to sign, and some of the survivors, the elders anyway, no, don't want to hear it. They don't need to hear my story, and I'm not sharing. And what can you do? You can't do nothing, you know. No, it's okay. I'm just here to see if we can help some survivors, and there's some that were willing, and some just, you know, no way. Yeah. To the Canadian government, you don't know what you've done to my people, to my children, my grandchildren. They don't know the stories. They hear it from others. They don't know the real stories. And I didn't want to be the one to tell them. And last year, when we had these Orange Shirt Day, one of my kids came over and she said, "Mom, I didn't know that all that happened." So I said, I didn't want to tell you, babe. I said, until you were ready, until I felt you were ready, you could take it, but I still don't tell them the whole thing, I sort of sugarcoated a little, try to. So I blame the government, the Indian agents, the RCMPs. No matter how often they can apologize, I don't care about apologies. I just want them to know what they did. So this has to come out from everywhere. It has to, like, across Canada. I don't know how we're going to go about it. We already have done, almost 20 years of this, and this is still, like, I can't believe that this is still there. And I thought I was done. I don't have to deal with that anymore. I don't have to look there anymore. But like that movie I was telling you about, it did bring back, some, one part of it anyway. But I just went to the bathroom and stayed there for a while, and then I came back. Marlene said, "Oh, you took a long time." I said, "I know. Just brush it off like that, eh?" But no, it's the pain. I don't know if it's always there. The memory will always be there, I think. We can't erase those. So that's what I say. Canada does not know what they have done. And not only Canada. It's in Australia. It's in the States where, the first school that started was in Quebec in 1860. Can you imagine what they did? No wonder they call us stupid Indians. We're no different than they are. It's just we went through hell. We went through hell in those schools. And I know my relatives that were there, they went into, or they became alcoholics, some of them were suicidal, and that's scary. And that's why I kept everything here, because I was always scared that my kids might overthink and maybe do something, and that's I just would like to tell the government or Canada or Prime Minister or whoever. I know Prime Minister Harper tried to apologize. That didn't mean a thing to me at all. I even felt sorry for him, because he doesn't realize what he did. He doesn't realize what his government did, back, all the way back, God knows when. So how do you fix that? How do you heal that? Um, it's a it's a sad chapter for survivors. Some of the survivors were um, how do I put it? They were like pets to the nuns. Yeah. So and those are the ones that can. They probably seen what was going on there, but they never say anything. I was wondered about that, and they don't they don't say anything because they were sort of favorite, yeah. And to this day they don't say nothing, yeah. And I know some of them, yeah. So, but we all went through the same thing, no matter if it's in Quebec, United States, should be. Basically, maybe we weren't that bad. Maybe there's other residential schools that were even worse. I've heard of some. So people they need help. We need to be out there, you know, um, educating the society, educating the kids, so that this never happens again. That's all I ask. Never let this happen again. Never, you know. And I was talking to my grandson one day, and because he wanted to know about the T-shirt thing, and I said, well, there was bad things happen, Wes, you know. I said, but I'm here to this. The purpose of this T-shirt is to let everybody know what happened in these schools. I said, you'll hear about it, but I want you to promise me that you'll make sure that doesn't happen again. And if you know, you go. You go and then you say, no more of that. So I don't want to hold him up to that, poor soul. That's such a big duty. So, yeah, I think I'm done now.